cool place to be. Mike's House of Monsters. Hell yeah! Come and see what's new. From Godzilla to Gamera, Bandai to X Plus, it's all here. Endless kaiju. Welcome to Mike's House of Monsters.
Hey G-fans, welcome to Mike's House of Monsters. So on today's show, we're going to have a very special guest at the end of the episode. Until then, we're going to be talking about a little film that came out 9 years ago called Shin Godzilla. At the time, there hadn't been a Japanese Godzilla film since 2004's Godzilla Final Wars. A lot of people didn't think Godzilla was ever going to return. Shortly after Legendary's Godzilla in 2014, Toho announced that they were doing another film. In my opinion, I think Toho wanted to capitalize off the success of the Legendary film, and at the same time give the fans what they thought they were getting in 2014. Legendary teased that we were going to be getting a bad guy Godzilla with the trailers that we'd been seeing.
He knew the world would not be the same. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture. Vishnu takes on its multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
But we all know how that turned out. By late 2015, the official teaser poster had been revealed. Shin Godzilla, Shin meaning new or true, was scheduled for a release date in Japan for July 29, 2016. The poster was pretty straightforward, a red poster with Godzilla's silhouette, teasing his new ferocious design. Aside from the title and the release date, the text on the poster read, "Japan vs. Godzilla." This was the Godzilla movie fans had been waiting for, and Toho bringing back Godzilla to his 1954 roots was definitely what the franchise needed. So I got some good news and I got some bad news. A couple weeks ago I made an announcement saying that today's Shin Godzilla themed episode was going to be postponed for various reasons. So obviously we're going to go with the good news first. So I'm proud to say that after searching endlessly for the last few years, I finally acquired the poster. And through a reliable source, the double-sided B1 of Shin Godzilla, the advanced poster, it's pretty hard to find compared to the theatrical poster. The B1 size posters are almost comparable to the size of a US theatrical poster. B1s are about 28 by 40 and some change. So now the bad news. The post office destroyed my poster!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I wasn't even going to include this in the video because, I like my items nice. I want them in good condition. I don't want to show them off and be complete crap. But after talking to a few people and thinking about it more and more, I'm like, what the hell? I might as well show the world what the post office did to my baby. Got this in the mail, and I was very pissed off, and I was actually very heartbroken about it. Like I said before, this took years to track down, and it's extremely rare, even for like a recent film. So I requested and paid for a thick poster tube with extra protection, and I just got a thin cardboard tube with no protection. I guess I can say it all worked out because this was a very expensive poster, and thank God I got a refund. And I got to keep the poster, despite its condition. So during my first trip to Japan, I went to see the movie opening night at the Hotel Gracery in Shinjuku. There were so many what the f*** moments during the movie because it was such a different Godzilla film compared to most of the movies prior. This Godzilla had evolved into something we were not familiar with. Between the earlier forms, his jaw split that was similar to a snake's, the spine and tail lasers, and the creepy ending with the humanoid Godzillas, I'm surprised it never got a sequel. Which brings me to my next bit of business. There have been rumors lately of Toho developing a sequel to Shin Godzilla after all these years, which is very surprising because while Shin was very successful, Godzilla -1 changed the game, especially after it being the first movie in the franchise to win an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. Now it's been confirmed that the sequel to -1 starts production this month. Will there be 2 Japanese Godzilla films back to back? After all, next year is the 10th anniversary of Shin Godzilla. I guess we shall see. Alright, getting back on track. This past Wednesday night, I had the opportunity to see the 4K re-release of Shin Godzilla in theaters, which, by the way, was glorious. And to celebrate its return to the big screen, I managed to pick up this, the double-sided theatrical poster for the re-release. Unlike the previous posters released for this film, this one is very dynamic as Godzilla unleashes his atomic ray on Tokyo, cutting the skyscrapers like they were Swiss cheese. To this day, it is probably one of the most destructive, spine-chilling scenes in the franchise that wows the viewers. Out of all the Shin Godzilla theatrical posters, this one is probably my favorite. So with all that said, I want to introduce my special guest, Justin Murphy. He actually happened to see the 4K release as well. Hey Justin, welcome to Mike's House of Monsters. How are you, buddy?
Not too bad, hanging in there.
So today we're going to be discussing one of the most controversial Godzilla films in the franchise, Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is Toho's 29th Japanese Godzilla film and the 31st film overall in the franchise, including the US films. Alright, Justin, first question. What aspects of Godzilla's design and appearance stood out to you the most, and how did it influence your overall impression of the film?
Well, the design is changing through the movie. From the first appearance, we see the boiling water, we get the tail, and that's our real first tease of the scale of this monster. Personally, first landfall design, I was a real big fan of. The moving on the ground, it looks like something that's breaking land for the first time. The third form, where he goes upright, I've always found that to be a little goofy looking. I get it. I understand why they did it. It comes out of nowhere in the movie, and just the overall look just feels awkward to me. When he does finally make that fourth appearance, though, it's next level. It's scary. It's menacing. Those cold, dead eyes stare right through you. The tail aspect, including the spines in his atomic breath, it's a great design Toho came up with.
All right, next question. The 2011 tsunami devastation of Japan was used as an inspiration to write Shin Godzilla. How did you feel about the movie's portrayal of government response to the Godzilla threat similar to the real-life situation? Did it add or detract from your viewing experience?
So for me, I think it added to the experience. I remember watching when that disaster happened in 2011, and the response was all over the place from the government of Japan. And kind of like the movie, the rest of the world kind of had to get involved and help figure out the pieces. And the response of the government in the movie to being so slow. Here's this thing, we see it in the water, we know it. Hey, it's making its way to landfall. All these things, on land, it's evolving. They don't make any kind of attempt to stop this thing until that fourth appearance of him. And to me, it's just there's too many loopholes that they're going through, this organization and this one, and the prime minister has to approve this, and the military wants to do that. It's just so much back and forth that it really reflects well to the real life situation that happened.
How did Shin Godzilla compare to previous Godzilla films you've seen in terms of tone, themes, and storytelling?
You know, when it came out, the only thing that was really comparable in overall tone of the movie to me was the original, 1954. It was a standalone monster whose whole purpose was coming on land in Japan. And whether it was an intent attack on Japan, or it's a monster just doing its natural instincts, that was the only thing, the overall feel of the people, the panic, the feel of the disaster. Now that changed once we got -1. That completely blew that feeling out of the water, but when I saw this back in 2016, that was the only thing I could compare it to.
What was your favorite moment from the film, and how did it affect you afterwards?
The first atomic breath scene. It's not life-changing per se, but it changes you as a Godzilla fan. Seeing the eyes go black, almost menacing like a shark, and the initial blast of fire turning into that laser beam. They address it in the movie. He almost has like a radar ability that he senses the planes above him and uses that to adapt and shoot the spines out of the dorsal fins. And it's an aspect of Godzilla that has never been seen before. And the intensity of the breath, being able to just slice through buildings, is next level.
We haven't had a Japanese Godzilla film since 2004's Godzilla Final Wars, which marked an end of the era of suitimation. How did you feel about this Godzilla being fully CGI and not in a suit?
You know, there is such a nostalgia and love of the suit being worn for Godzilla movies. But moving into modern times, it comes with modern technology. Could there have been aspects of suitmation used? Sure. Would it have had the same feel and the same overall scale that this movie has? I don't think it would have. I think using the modern CGI technology brings this movie to the forefront of modern technology.
After seeing the re-release in 4K, does your opinion about the film differ from when you saw it originally in 2016?
You know, after seeing it in 4K, there were a few scenes, the atomic breath scene, where it definitely stood out more. Minor details when they had close-up shots of Godzilla, the texture of his body, definitely noticeable there. But overall, would I say it was a complete change? Not really. In some aspects, I actually think it hurt the film. The train bomb scene in particular, noticing it now, the trains seem to wiggle like worms instead of moving trains in 4K. And I didn't really notice or pay attention to that in the first release.
It's been 9 years since Shin Godzilla was released. During its original theatrical run, it was very successful at the box office and with most of the fandom. Even after Godzilla -1 was released, Shin Godzilla is still being talked about to this day. Which brings me to this. There's a lot of speculation lately about Shin Godzilla 2. How do you feel about a sequel to this movie, even though it's been confirmed that the sequel to Godzilla -1 is about to start production?
I do want it to happen. I think it will happen. How I feel about two Godzilla movies being made at the same time, I'm here for it. Continuity, to me, it doesn't necessarily matter. How many individual Godzilla movies were released without a direct sequel? And just a few years later, a new movie was made with no connection, no tie-ins to the previous. To me, that's not a deciding factor. And the way Shin Godzilla ends, it leaves it wide open for a sequel. They address it at the end. This isn't over. This is just it for now.
Do you think the 4K re-release was Toho's way of testing the waters to see if there was any interest in generating a sequel?
I do. I kind of talked about that with Mike outside of this conversation, that we had kind of thought that this was them feeling the market out again for this movie. And to see our audience is going to turn up. Everyone turned up for -1 and then some. And our theater was mostly full. We had a pretty good turnout where we were. I think, given this run, given its length, I think it'll be all right.
So out of 10 stars, what would you give Shin Godzilla?
That's a tough one. Overall, 7, I would feel. The action scenes when they are happening are incredible. But it's a very slow-paced movie. It's a very political movie. And it's a lot of dialogue to absorb. If that's your thing, it's the perfect movie for you. Me, I'm 50-50 on it. I enjoy the dialogue. I enjoy driving the plot. But there's certain scenes that just aren't necessary. Some of the conversations just aren't that big of a factor in the movie.
Final question, and it's not Shin related. What is your favorite Godzilla movie?
That's a 2-part question for me. My movie I hold closest to my heart, and this is going to be even more controversial than this movie, is 98. I was introduced to Godzilla by my grandfather. We watched all the movies. If I stayed home sick, he would go to the video store, rent whatever Godzilla movie he would find, bring it home. We'd watch it all day. The only movie I got to see on a big screen with him was 98. I hold that movie very close to my heart. It's not the best Godzilla movie, but it's a great monster movie at the end of the day. My favorite Godzilla movie is versus Destroya. The plot, the action, the drama. I remember watching it the first time, like most of us. I'm pretty sure we all cried when we saw Godzilla melting down finally.
Justin, thank you so much for your time and being my first guest on an episode of Mike's House of Monsters. I hope to have you back on a future episode. And maybe one day I can give you the tour of the collection. We're practically neighbors.
Hey, at this point, I can't wait to see the collection. I've been seeing pictures and hearing the stories about it for years. I got to see this in person. And definitely appreciate being your first guest on this podcast. I can't wait to do it again.
All right, guys, that'll do it for this week's episode of Mike's House of Monsters. Please subscribe and comment your thoughts on Shin Godzilla and the possibility of Shin Godzilla 2. Until next time, keep on collecting.
Mike's House of Monsters! Yeah! It's a cool place to be! Mike's House of Monsters!
Alright, boys, stop fighting. Shin, I'm sorry, but I have to admit this to you. I get more out of -1 than I do from you. It's not that you're not attractive or anything, but -1, that's where my heart's at. Sorry, Shin. No, I didn't mean anything like that. I'm sorry.